Watch this.
It's finally Friday. Welcome to the 208. We'll start with this. The combination of increasing inflation and rising property taxes has put local governments across Idaho, excuse me, in a unique spot. How do you collect tax revenue while also balancing the cry from constituents that they're hurting financially and they need help? We all know what the prices are out there. Now, there's a lot of ideas about how to address this, but one in our area drew some eyebrows this past week. For the upcoming budget year, Canyon County Clerk Chris Yamamoto pitched a budget idea to county commissioners that would include no money coming from county property taxes. That's right, the whole budget without a single cent from county property taxes. So how can that be possible? Does the math work? Well, right now, the county reports sitting on a general fund of about $93 million. And Clerk Yamamoto said it's added up to that mark because county expenses have decreased from unfilled positions over the years. Now, he adds that the budget was taken into account about the salaries if they were to fill those positions.
I think we just want to help do what we can. I think now is the time. Given what we're seeing with these values, given what we're seeing with inflation, we need to do what we can to help the citizens of Canyon County.
So it's a big idea, right? Having a county budget with no property tax dollars. Well, Canyon County Sheriff Kieran Donahue told us this week in a statement that he would like to see more conversations surrounding employee salary compensations so that they can afford to work here, he says. And he adds in a statement, quote, "It is increasingly difficult for everyone to put food on the table and fuel in their cars in this economy, but the need for effective law enforcement and other mandatory government services, they don't go away when times are tough," the sheriff told us. Now, Clerk Yamamoto's proposed plan does address employee compensation, he says. The clerk tells us that they actually have about $3,000 in increases for every county position, including entry level. Again, that's with no property tax dollars in the budget. Now, if the budget is approved, it would leave about 30% of the general fund balance left over. That's a number that Clerk Yamamoto said that he's comfortable with. Commissioners over in Canyon County, they're going to host elected officials to discuss the fiscal year 23 budget coming up on July 25th. Sheriff Donahue tells us that he will be in attendance and looks forward to sharing his thoughts on that. So it's a big idea. We'll keep our eyes on it. Well, a lot happening this week here in the 208. So let's catch up with a callback of some of the biggest stories that you're talking about this week. Like this one from Wednesday. Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan, who lost her bid to become the Republican nominee for governor back in May, well, she gave her only employee a $57,000 pay raise. And that's about a quarter of her office's entire fiscal year budget. And that employee, Michelle Hamilton, who is a top Idaho Republican Party official, joins the staff full-time. She'll be earning $30,000 more than what her previous full-time employee was making. The catch here? Well, McGeehan will leave office technically at the end of the year into January, leaving the incoming lieutenant governor, who will be elected in November, with the possibility of not having enough money in their budget for the fiscal year. The current lieutenant governor still hasn't directly responded to our requests for comment, but she did post on her social media pages responding to some articles and some community conversation about this. Now, she says that the media and established politicians are trying to manufacture a controversy. Both McGeehan and Hamilton are in Twin Falls at the GOP convention. So they're saying that the attention this week was to take away from what's going on there. Also this week, on Monday, we dug into a section of the First Amendment that our founding fathers likely never saw coming. How about this? Social media. And you've likely noticed it too, the sheer amount of vitriol and nasty comments from all sides of the aisle. So some elected officials have started blocking people from their official social media pages, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Well, the blocking has led to the argument that it's actually a violation of the First Amendment. Over in eastern Idaho, several people filed a lawsuit against an Idaho lawmaker. They claim that Representative Chad Christensen blocked them on his official Facebook account. So what exactly are the rules when it comes to hitting the block button on social media if you're an elected official? I spoke with the legal director for the ACLU of Idaho, Adika Singh, and we talked about what they're seeing and what citizens can do if they find themselves blocked by an elected official.
We found that folks might have had real legitimate claims under the First Amendment, but we were really hammered with dozens, maybe close to a couple hundred complaints over the last couple of years. And really our belief is that it shouldn't take a lawsuit for public officials to follow the law.
So if you do feel like you were blocked unjustly, Singh tells us that the first thing you should do is reach out to the elected official and simply ask to be unblocked. Have that conversation. Hopefully that'll solve it. But if that doesn't really work out, there could be other issues. But all of this, it goes both ways. If a citizen is acting inappropriate on a government page or breaking page rules, whether that's harassing the elected official or using inappropriate or foul language, etc., well, that elected official may be justified in their reason to block you. Moral of the story here, be polite and address everyone on social media, elected official or not, with respect. It could really change the game for all of us. On Tuesday, I sat down with Stanton Healthcare, which is an anti-abortion clinic, and they work to provide what they call life-affirming care for pregnant mothers. And they held an event this week called Supporting Women in an Abortion-Free Idaho. Well, the event featured the first on-camera comments from Idaho Governor Brad Little about Idaho's pending abortion trigger law. Now, their clinic will now take on a new role over at Stanton in a post-Roe era in the state of Idaho. So we had a lot of questions from you at home wanting to know what happens if a woman walks into an anti-abortion clinic here in Idaho needing an emergency abortion to save their life. Here's what Stanton had to say.
We don't even blink. A woman comes in and she says, we've had this happen before. And we have women come in and say, I think that I needed an emergency abortion. My doctor said, or I don't know what's happening. And we immediately connect them with a doctor who will value their life and the life of their baby and treat them both as patients and do his utmost to save the life of that mom and of that baby. Because we value all human life. Not just the moms, not just the babies, we value them both. And whatever situation the woman finds her medically, we need to respond to that compassionately and with a view towards saving both lives. And so we would connect a woman with a doctor who will have that mindset and that attitude.
Staying on the same topic, Planned Parenthood tells us, meanwhile, that they're still working to set up their new facility just over the border in Ontario, Oregon. Now, that clinic, when it does open, will continue to provide abortion care, which remains legal under state law in the state of Oregon. Still, though, in Idaho, there are concerns from community advocates about Idaho women who practically won't be able to quickly connect with that resource over our border to the west. Just yesterday, an update to the ongoing saga of Interfaith Sanctuary's move to their new location on State Street. The Veterans Park Neighborhood Association is now asking a judge to step in and overturn a decision by Boise City Council, who overturned a denial by Planning and Zoning. Everyone following along here? We'll make it simple. Interfaith Sanctuary applied for a conditional use permit to occupy their new building on State Street. After dozens of hours of testimony, Boise Planning and Zoning, they denied that application. So Interfaith Sanctuary appealed, and it went to the full Boise City Council. And after hours and hours of additional testimony, the Boise City Council decided that they were going to overturn the dismissal by Boise Planning and Zoning. So now the Neighborhood Association is asking a judge to overturn Boise City Council's decision. We'll keep you posted there. Now, they say that the community will be impacted and property values will go down if Interfaith is allowed to open on State Street. But Interfaith says that the imminent move has already actually helped some of their guests who now have jobs in the State Street area. Right now, the shelter is still on track to move to their new spot in the near future, but as we've seen, plans change quickly, so we'll keep a close eye on this. And as we speak, happening right now, day 2 of the Idaho GOP convention over in Twin Falls. We told you a little bit about this yesterday. This is the semi-annual convention held by the Idaho Republican Party, the official IDGOP, and they meet to elect leadership in the party, talk about topics of importance, and propose future legislation ideas. Now, one of their meetings today, approve or deny 31 resolutions brought to the table. Now, those resolutions touch on a lot of different topics, including election fraud, Ukraine, and voting. Now, one of those resolutions making it more difficult to affiliate with the Idaho Republican Party. Now, in the state of Idaho, the GOP party voted back in 2012 to hold closed primary elections, meaning only those who are registered as a Republican in the state of Idaho can vote in the Republican primary elections. Now, several candidates, including Idaho Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan, who unsuccessfully ran for governor, and Brandon Durst, who unsuccessfully ran for state superintendent, both claim that their losses were in part because of voters switching parties over to vote Republican, whether they were Democrat, Libertarian, unaffiliated. They're arguing too many people joining the Republicans that aren't really Republicans. And they're saying that there was some crossover. We're going to talk about some numbers, though, and they're from the Idaho Secretary of State's office, and we reported these back in April, several weeks after the deadline to register with a political party. Now, in January, there were 134,908 registered Democrats and 531,420 registered Republicans statewide. And by April, those numbers changed, with Democratic voters decreasing by about 4%, while the number of Republicans increased by 2.7%. The problem, proving the intent of the switch. Were these people registering with the party for the first time, maybe as a new resident or a new voter in Idaho? Or did they genuinely, I say, switch to change the outcome of an election? Each individual case is different. It's impossible to know for sure in every case. So the convention, though, does continue through tomorrow, and they are going to have a major vote where they're going to elect the leadership of the Idaho GOP party. Now, the incumbent, Tom Luna, who is the former superintendent of Idaho schools, he will face off against State Representative Dorothy Moon. Now, Moon was campaigning to become the next Secretary of State back in the May primary, but she did lose that election to the eventual winner, Ada County Clerk Phil McGrain. There's a lot going on in Twin Falls. We know there's a lot of questions and action that's going to happen today and into the weekend. So coming up on Monday, we're going to answer your questions that we keep seeing you text in, and we'll circle back to all of this. So if you're looking for Idaho GOP convention talk, join us here on the 208 on Monday. To steal a line from every rock concert that's ever gone on, how we doing out there tonight? Everyone doing good? Well, that's what we're hoping here on the 208. We hope everyone's enjoying their summer, a nice July weekend coming up. But let's put some things into perspective. It's easy to get lost in the shuffle of this fast-paced world, so we're dialing it back here on Friday. We're getting back to basics on the 208. We want to hear about your good news. We want to hear about the good things happening in our community, So we met a few of you out on the Grove Plaza earlier in Boise. Here's your good news.
Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, yeah. Whoa.
Tell us your good news.
My good news is our condo swimming pool is open and we can just go swimming anytime.
And it's 100-degree temperatures all weekend, so it's good news at a perfect time.
Done. Getting my tan on.
My good news is my son's 5 months. He just turned 5 months a couple of days ago, and I'm actually wrapping up Boise State's Gen Cyber Tech Camp. So today's the last day. It's Friday. We're downtown. It's a beautiful day. The sun's shining. That's my good news.
My husband and I are just celebrating our 1-year wedding anniversary.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
1 year of marriage down?
1 year marriage down, forever to go. Yeah. It's a great day.
So when you think about your first year of marriage, I mean, I see the smile.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a year, but it's been great. I wouldn't change it for the world.
My good news is that I will be getting married in a couple days, in a week, and I'll be moving to Florida.
That's about the best news you could have, a marriage?
It's amazing, yeah.
So what's going through your mind right now?
A lot. So much so there's not one constant thought, you know?
It's an exciting time though.
It's very exciting, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I just got accepted into my study abroad program in Australia for January of 2023.
So have you ever been to Australia before?
I've never been out of the country, so it's my first time.
That's not only good news, that's exciting news. A big adventure?
Very big adventure.
What are you most excited about?
Living in another country and experiencing another culture would definitely be a huge thing for me. Very big experience and very shocking, I feel like.
That's gonna be awesome. Well, good luck.
Thank you. All right.
I just had some really yummy pizza and now I have eclairs.
So it's a really fun eating Friday.
Yeah.
Tell me about the fountains. You're the only person I've seen that's really run through it. They refreshing?
They are very refreshing. The water's a little cold, but it's hot outside, so it's very easy to walk through. It's like the perfect distance to walk through.
Oh man, my good news is I get to spend the day with my kids today and get to run around, have some fun. We're gonna go have lunch right now, go have some Chinese food and come back over and play in the water after. I just don't want them to be all soaked when we're in the booth, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's a good Friday, some good news.
Beautiful day, man. It's a beautiful day. It really is.
I hope you're smiling as you look at this heat right along through here. And of course, I'm wearing the red hot jacket. And we're talking about sunny hot conditions here. And as we continue through tomorrow, it's still hot. Monday, not exactly cooler, but let's just say not as hot. And I've seen anywhere from about a 96 down to a 93, somewhere along through there. I haven't seen a 68, no. I know that a lot of us would like to see some changes there. And something else that we're seeing, some smoke, as you notice, a little darker here. If you look up here to the lighter side, and then the heavier smoke gets up to the brighter colors, which is just along the border, just south of Twin. Just so Twin Falls happens to know that. It is going to move out of your area for tonight. Now, we're moving through Saturday, and it doesn't look like it's much of a big deal, but then it does start working up into later Saturday, and as you notice, into early Sunday, just so you know that about the smoke around the area. You can kind of see it's a little hazy out there. 99 degrees, and then the temperature will continue to drop. As you notice, toward tomorrow morning, we may even have a low that gets down into the 60s or so. And even though this weekend, and here's my forecast highs, 102 for Saturday, and the record's 109. If you look at Sunday, the forecast high is 101 and the record's 108, just to indicate to you that it's not going to be any records. Most of our records are about 105 to 110. Once in a while, it slips down on that sort of thing. But when we have these temperatures up near 100, we're really not looking at records at this point. So let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. As you can see, there's the 102 and the 101 for Sunday. Breezy for Monday with the 94, and then those temperatures get back up. Want a second opinion on this? This is just one computer model on it, so let me show you the 10-day temperature trend. Yeah, that one shows some of the temperatures, even just the difference of 1 or 2 degrees, what it does to your psyche. When you look at some of those temperatures up this high, that's going into the end of next week. Either way, we're in the upper 90s or somewhere close to 100 degrees. It's going to continue for a while.
We'll get the sunscreen. All right, earlier this spring, the Treasure Valley was abuzz with excitement over the announcement that In-N-Out would finally be coming to the state of Idaho. After what seemed like years of asking the California chain to make the trip over to Idaho, it's calmed down in the months since. But it's still on the mind of some of our viewers, like Laura in Meridian, who texted us. She wanted to know, is In-N-Out still coming to the Treasure Valley? Don't see anything going up in the Village in Meridian for them. Nothing happening at the old Pier 1 building at the mall either. Good question. Anyone else's mouth watering, just thinking about a double-double with cheese, maybe a little fries, maybe a little Coke, who knows? Unfortunately, though, you're going to have to keep making that 4 or 5 hour drive down to Utah if you want the closest location of In-N-Out. We did reach out to both the City of Meridian's Planning and Zoning Department as well as the City of Boise for updates. Now, back in March, In-N-Out announced that they submitted an application to open their first store in Idaho, a spot near Eagle and Fairview inside the Village, basically. And Meridian's Planning and Zoning team tells us at this point, no other building permits have been submitted. Well, about a month later, the chain announced plans to take over the old Pier 1 building next to the Boise Mall. We reached out to Boise Planning and Zoning, and they tell us that their conditional use permit is still under review, but has not been scheduled for a public hearing. Well, back in March, the company said in an email that they plan to open their first Idaho location by 2025. So the 2025 timeline looks to still be intact, but just circle 2025 on your calendar. We'll get you an In-N-Out hamburger, right? Well, last month we told you about a 23-year-old Boise High School graduate who is competing on the world's biggest cycling stage, the Tour de France. And we spoke with his family a few weeks ago about his role. His mom told us that his goal, not to try to win it all, no, rather though, he's there to make sure that his team's ace, Enric Mas, finished as close to the podium as possible. It really is a team effort in cycling, which, as it turns out, in a commonality in professional cycling, you really do try to push your ace up to the top. But our local guy has already exceeded expectations. He nearly made the podium back on Tuesday, finishing 4th in the 10th stage, his highest finish so far. And today, he finished 5th out of 157 riders. But it hasn't been all roses. We do have to report this to you. During stage 3 on July 3rd, he did crash. And according to his team's Twitter page, he had to get several stitches on his right forearm, but he was bandaged up and back in the race the very next day. You can see our local guy there. No bones affected, so he was right back out on the track. After 13 stages, he is currently ranked 31st in the field, about 57 seconds off the podium, with 8 more stages left to go. His team currently ranked in 6th place. The Tour de France ends next Sunday. We'll keep you posted. Quick reminder, starting tomorrow, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline will go live here in Idaho. So if you're ever experiencing a mental health crisis or someone in your family is, you can reach out to the Idaho Crisis and Suicide Hotline by phone or text. There's a brand new number. It is simply 988. So it's like 911, but it's 988 for mental health emergencies. You'll be able to connect with a counselor there. You can also go online at 988lifeline.org. Again, though, that 988 number for mental health emergencies, a huge game changer here in Idaho. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments to wrap up the show. This person says, so Joe, we keep hearing about the gas prices dropping. I don't see that anywhere in Idaho. Am I missing something? The infrastructure in Idaho, it kind of keeps us a little bit behind when things do go down, but keep up the hope. Hopefully the gas prices go down soon. It's expensive out there. This person says, thanks for the good news segment with so much heavy news to deal with. This is a great palate cleanser. Yes, we saw your comments about Good News Friday. We hope the good vibes follow you into the weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Take care of each other. See you then.